Finally, summer spills across the farm and the green promise that was May bursts into color. The month of June brings an abundance that feels almost overwhelming at times. And each morning I find new surprises as the farm reshapes itself. Over the years, I've learned to embrace this, the constant unfolding of both challenge and wonderment. Because that's farming. That's growing flowers. Years ago, when we first bought this land, it was just a flat piece of dirt exposed on all sides, nowhere to hide from the wind whipping across it. It's been a lot of work, but now flowering corridors define every space. And this is the time of year when they're the most glorious. The hedgerows are not alone in their display. The cutting garden overflows with color and fragrance. Old roses reveal themselves one by one, each so magical.
How do you even describe that?
And in the breeding project, I'm just starting to meet new friends, who I know will steal my heart.
Man, these are pretty.
All of this is June. The urgency and the overwhelm. Each day the light stretching on forever, making everything possible and everything endless. But I wouldn't have it any other way. My overalls stained with pollen, my soul fed by creation, my mission clear. This is the farm at its peak, the pinnacle of beauty when all my dreams are transformed into flowers. This is June at Floret. It's June.
What is June, like the essence of June to you? Like, what does it mean if I just walk up to you on the street and said, like, describe June?
I mean, to me, it feels like May is just green and abundance, right? And June it's like beyond abundance. It's like spilling over. The roses are tumbling into the road. The rose blossoms are so heavy, they're dropping their petals.
And you just want to do this.
The hedgerows and the peonies, the weight of the flowers are leaning onto the ground. There's this heaviness in the abundance. There is so much abundance, there's a weight to it. June just feels like, whoa, like it's a lot. And I feel like a little bit like we're falling over. Like even when Chris and I have been going for our farm walks and we come back and he's like, it's so beautiful. I feel so overwhelmed. What have we done? You know, like, I mean, it's amazing, but it's a lot. It's just, I'm rambling, but June is a lot.
What's ridiculous?
This whole garden is ridiculous. It's like inappropriately beautiful.
Are the tasks for June less intense than May?
The tasks for June are less varied than in May. So in May, we're still sowing seeds, we're planting out, we're skinning greenhouses. You know, we're doing it's such a wide variety. Now that we're into June, it's more of a straightforward kind of work. It's very repetitive and it's just kind of a grind now. It's a very, very long day. Before anybody's even awake, you're already out there, and after everyone's gone to sleep, you're still out there. You feel very stretched, but it's also like you can't miss a second of it because it's so beautiful. The hummingbirds are chasing each other around you in the garden, and you're like, I'm glad I did this. So this month's big focus on the Farm for the Crew is plant care. I mean, that is really, it's just taking care of the babies and making sure that they have everything that they need in order to bring them into flower.
Okay, Leslie and Rosario are going through and getting the big chunks of grasses and the stuff that's gonna get crazy. So quick weed through.
So lots of weeding. I mean, they'll start at the first hoop house and work all the way to the end. And by the time they're at the last one, weeds have already started sprouting in the first ones again, and they've got to come back around. So it's usually 3 good rounds of weeding. Yeah, one of the strange pests that you wouldn't expect expect is actually mice and moles. It's crazy because they'll come in, sneak up under the fabric, and then just nibble off the plants and topple them over. And they are so destructive. I mean, in a night, they can take down half the bed of plants. Chris has tried everything. The guys have tried everything. So our magic formula is almond butter, the good stuff, usually Maranatha brand, and cheddar cheese. The combo of the two on the traps, I mean, it's deadly. We do trap them, we don't poison them. So we trap them, and then the guys dump the buckets out and then either toss them into the hedgerows where, you know, a bird can find them, or they'll dump them on the compost pile. But they're gone within a matter of hours, no matter where they put them.
Okay, so we just had a windstorm, and this is on the ground. Oh, it's a nest of baby hummingbirds. Or are those hummingbirds? No. Are they? No. Okay, good.
Oh, there are these little spare.
Oh my goodness. First I thought that guy was hummingbird. Okay. Okay, so Mama's up in the top of the honeysuckle. See her? She's freaking out, poor thing. Don't worry, we won't hurt you, babies. Okay, so Chris put his gloves on so that we don't have any smell, hopefully. And he's taking a nest and gently setting it in this pot so it stays upright. And then getting the babies carefully and sticking them back in.
Let's see, what else are we doing?
Don't worry, we'll help them get in.
So spraying compost tea, removing anything that doesn't look well, adding, what I always want to call it elixir, but what's it called, Chris?
Extract.
Yeah, it's extract. Adding this new compost extract that Chris is brewing to the plants.
Hey, Chris, can you come in from behind the camera? Hey, Chris.
How do I look on the thing? All right, so this was my big wintertime project. We have been making compost tea for a long time. You guys have made compost tea a bunch. But this is kind of like tea, but it's an extract. So do you guys know what the difference is between a tea and an extract?
The extract is the living organisms, right? Am I right about that? It's basically like you're putting in, you could say the biology,
Yeah.
but like it's organisms that are good for the plant.
This is a compost, and then this one is a vermicompost, so it's all worm casting. So this whole thing has passed through an earthworm over here, which has a different set of biology, but very beneficial. So for this size, what I've been doing is I just use this scoop right here, and I'll just do like 3 scoops, and we'll take it back. You're just gonna drop this right into the basket. We're literally like ripping them off of the little aggregates and stuff when you're doing that. So you just kind of do that for 30 seconds or whatever. And we're just gonna let that sit, and it's ready in about 5 hours. And then you're drenching into the soil around the root zones of the plants where the biology and the plants start working together. Really helps retain water in the soil. It helps plants grow better, which creates better roots, which the better roots have, the more sugars they put out, which increases the biology. When you're applying this stuff, you have to be like gentle with it. You know, it's like Erin has her plant babies, I have my microorganism babies all going in there, you know, like, be careful with them.
Okay, what are you doing here in your lab?
I am looking for root-feeding nematodes in the sweet peas.
Are you pretty excited?
Well, I'm excited about what I'm looking at, but I'm not finding any, which is good.
Okay.
So, but I don't know.
Oh,
I'm learning to what I'm looking at. So,
That's
yeah,
cool.
we have a couple of 6 sweet pea plants, and so they had really crappy roots on them. And so I just kind of a soil sample around the roots, and I'm looking for nematodes, root-feeding nematodes in there. I don't know if I'll find anything, but just kind of learning about it and trying to see if I can find a problem.
Cool. Okay, so this is what the microscope sees.
Looking at bacteria and protozoa
I love that you're into this.
and fungi and all kinds of things. It's pretty cool.
It's wild to think back. I mean, I remember when we were first planting those very first fruit trees, like when we had filmed the first season of Growing Floret, and we're like trying to get that shovel in the ground and it wouldn't go anywhere. And the ground was so compacted, it was like almost like a driveway or something. Like you dig those chunks of soil out, and even though it's sandy, they were like big rocks, and nothing could get through. And at that time, I didn't think that we would ever be able to heal the soil. It just felt so hopeless. Now that we've learned so much and that Chris has done all of this research, it's like to see how much progress we've made, where now you can, when you're planting plants in the beds, I mean, it's just like, your hand just goes right down into that cake-like soil, and, you're popping plugs in like the wind. It's pretty incredible. I think all of your extracts and teas, and then we made the changes to the potting soil mix, and I think all of that's adding up to...
Yeah, all of it adds up.
Yep. Now we're starting to fine tune and refine versus having to do this giant overhaul of the entire system.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the other thing that has struck me so much about the farm as it's changed, and it was unbelievable when I was there a few weeks ago, is the hedgerows.
I know. The hedgerows are massive. You were commenting on how quiet it felt. It is absorbing all of the sounds and muffling, but then at the same time, don't you feel like the bird songs are just reverberating and echoing, and the birds are louder and everything else is quieter? I think they, more than anything, have made this feel like a place. So we have planted well over a mile of both hedges and hedgerows on the farm. So a hedge is a single species of a plant. It's privet or laurel or yew. And then a hedgerow is actually a mixed planting of a number of different species. So you can have small trees, you can have different types of shrubs.
All right, we're rolling.
Oh man. Okay, so just for context, when we got the farm, this is where the original Floret stopped. When I say that the field is a blank slate, I totally mean it. Look at this. It's just bare. It's just flat and open. We have the blueberry patch, but really it doesn't have anything out here. This was our original farm. And then here started a field of blueberries, sick blueberries, which we dug out and gave away and got rid of. But this was just a blank canvas. And now look at these hedgerows. I mean, look at the height of this. I mean, you planted that 5 years ago. Look at that.
Where did the idea for the hedgerows kind of come from?
Yeah.
This was like a kind of scruffy orchard, I think.
So Becky Crowley is a English gardener, garden designer, photographer, artist, but she's basically a creative plant genius. But when we went to England back in, I think it was 2019, Becky was the head cutting garden gardener at Chatsworth, which is this beautiful like castle-like house. And so that was one of the stops that we wanted to make, was to go meet Becky in person. I was a huge fan. I jokingly said, you should come to America and help me design the farm. We actually pulled it off. And so Becky came to America. The plan was to be here for just 1 year, but the pandemic hit while Becky was here and she got stuck in America, which was hard and also wonderful because there was nothing else we could do.
So not that this makes any sense, but along the edges of all the blocks out in the field, they are named different things. We're going to be planting hedges, and I'll show you here in a second.
She helped design the farm of my dreams. Like, we figured it out from complete scratch.
So you can see these lines where the string is. This is all going to be hedges and bushes. So now I'm going to go along with some ground spray paint and mark out the lines for Chris to till.
When we were planning the farm and really envisioning what we wanted to do to take this completely blank piece of land and try to transform it into a place, that's what we kept calling it. It needs a level of insulation, right? You need to take this gigantic open field and start to break it down into smaller spaces that kind of feel like living rooms.
So the hedgerows are in different places. They're different mixes of different plants. So out here we were kind of just using up the leftover odds and ends, or as Becky would say, the bits and bobs. Just stuff that we had 10 of this, 5 of that, and we just plugged them in out here because it's not so visible, so it doesn't really matter. But we've got a mix of wild roses, Amur maple, lots of lilac, filbert trees, just a mix of different shrubs and trees that flower at different times. They make fruit at different times, and it's just going to grow into be this like solid thick wall of foliage and flowers that are kind of timed to bloom early all the way to early summer, just like as long of a period as possible. But you can see we planted them very close together. They're about 3 feet apart and 3 feet apart this way.
Look at the snowberry blooms. They're so pretty. A star shape. Look. How tall is that? 8 feet? Okay, so let's just look back. I mean, when you see that, what do you think?
It feels so good. I mean, it feels right.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It does feel like being embraced
Yeah,
by nature.
yeah.
When we first started and this was that blank slate, it was so, I felt so vulnerable. Everywhere you were, everyone could see you. Not that you're doing anything weird, you're just like, everyone knew where you were at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, this is the roads. These are the roads that then divide the growing blocks. But I remember walking around with the surveyors, marking these lines out and feeling like these roads were crazy wide. Like, why would we do that? And now, as they're all spilling into the path.
I know, it's even a pretty tight turn now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And hedges and hedgerows are also really great for helping with erosion. They're going to slow that wind. It's not blowing away your topsoil if it's not in cover crop, helping to make a more gentle environment for the plants that are growing inside. It can just help kind of dampen down more extreme weather. And then I think the most important thing of all is that it provides both food sources and like hiding and habitat for both pollinators and songbirds and other wildlife like rabbits. So they have come with downsides. I mean, rabbits love the hedgerows and have just exploded. So that's something that's, you know, kind of a new problem. Definitely all of these delicious treats have welcomed the deer. They love the farm now. But I still think overall the benefits far, far, far outweigh the problems. I mean, I still just feel kind of like in awe of how much life those brought to the farm.
Yeah, we did good.
Yeah. Oh, see a rabbit.
it is starting to really feel like a secret garden, you know, where everything is grown in and we're becoming so insulated, and then all these layers of green and beauty. And I mean, this is what Becky talked about when we first talked. She's like, you're like this little tiny mouse in this big open field and you're vulnerable. Let's insulate you. I'm like, that sounds great. And now to get to live inside of that insulation, it's so awesome.
This sort of reminds me, remember that photo I took years ago of you of the
The greenhouse.
well, no, it was the purple sweet rocket, I think.
Oh yeah. Yep.
This-
And you called me your flower witch.
Yep. I mean, the sky isn't quite as epic today, but this is pretty beautiful in its own way.
One question I had about making
These
arrangements
are ridiculous.
with the overall abundance, like the kind of the spring and summer colliding, is making arrangements for you more fun and more kind of creative when that is happening? Or is it like you have too many choices and it feels like a little too much?
What's interesting is now that, so in the early parts of the season, I had to go hunting, right? Like, I'm like, what am I going to make this week? What am I going to pick? And I have to really look for it. And right now it's like, there's so much to choose from. You just spin in circles. I don't even know where to start. Do I pick a color? Do I pick a flower to explore? And I notice what I've been gravitating towards is just single vases of one thing.
Look at those.
Which is interesting. It's interesting in the abundance to want simplicity. I want to get a time lapse of making it, and then a time lapse once it's done. Okay, I'm just going to keep this so simple. That's one of the things about a big showy flower like delphinium, or say you have peonies or something, you just don't know how to handle it. Like, it's so kind of intimidating. Just arrange them all by themselves.
Yeah, that looks cool through the phone with you, with it, and all of it.
Am I like blocking the view? Probably. The last couple of weeks, I've been choosing flowers that are very dramatic as they open. And so we've been practicing and kind of playing around with the idea of different time lapses, where if you record that all day, you can actually see flowers in a way from the beginning of the morning to the end of the day. If I come in and out of the garage and I see a bouquet, I'm like, oh yeah, those have opened more. But I've never been able to just watch and see like what happened in one day.
No, that's Dusty Rose.
Dusty Rose. Okay. That's needs more time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or did you want to film it just for
Might as
for
well
us?
for us. Yeah. See, this is our laboratory. Our living laboratory.
You're in the beginning stages of the breeding for this year.
Yeah.
Can you already at this point kind of tell the ones that you're falling in love with or that you're really excited about, and vice versa, ones that you're kind of like, eh?
Yeah. Okay.
And then
So right now, I'm just watching as the flowers are starting to open. And what's so cool is to see a variety that I selected last year or the year before. This year is coming back true to what I wanted. We're making progress. This is what it's supposed to look like. Like, yes!
So this is Zinnia Rosy Mauve, which comes out of our precious metals mix. So this is the variety with the working title Mini Blush Double. Cotton Ball Softest Blush, Pink Champagne Pink. Zinnia Ballerina, Dusty Rose Coral, and Pink Champagne Champagne.
I feel like we're on the right track. We're definitely on the right track. So that's really cool. That's very encouraging. Gosh, this is great. That's a good motivator because, man, it's going to be a lot of work for the next month.
So this is a miniature version of Queen Lime, which is a green, really densely domed zinnia that we've been working on. So it must have been a cross with Oklahoma and Queen Lime at some point, and we discovered 1 or 2 plants, and we've been working on it for years.
By the end of the month, I will be full on into selection mode.
If I got this just how it is, I'd be pumped.
That process begins in June and it will continue into July.
Okay, so Eric has the description of what champagne is, finally.
Yes. Okay. Champagne is the blush of peach.
See? Ta-da. If you know, you know. It's like notes to ourselves next year.
Yeah.
I feel like we could just watch this and be like, thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
So what did you do today? You went to Anne's today, right?
Yeah, so today could very well be the last day that we ever go to Anne's garden.
All right, we're here at Anne's. The house is going to market in a couple of days. And so Teddy let us come back, and we are taking the last cuttings we think that we might ever get from Anne's property. So, it's kind of a bittersweet day.
That place has been like such a gift to us. Jill, Nina, and Chris and I feel like the 4 of us have been so bonded.
Make sure that you have one of these.
It's like a whole chapter of our lives has been defined by this place and this person and these plants. Anne was the spark. I had no idea that getting to go to her garden would lead to trying to help preserve some of those roses, and that would lead to meeting Greg and adopting the whole old European collection, and then that would lead to lilacs and clematis and daffodil. That I had no idea that there were so many plant groups in jeopardy. It feels like it was so meant to be. Now it feels like it's time. I think all the people that needed to connect through this place have. The roses have found their way safely into a lot of gardens. Preservation societies have taken things. We have them here. So many people were inspired by Anne's story. So I think what needed to happen has, and now it felt like kind of like it's okay. It's okay to move on. It's okay for this to change. Yeah. But sad at the same time. Yeah.
So we've fairly recently kind of, I guess, caught everybody up to speed on what has been happening over the last few years with the Rose Project.
I don't know about that.
They just said, help us not go extinct. I said, okay.
One thing, we published this video that hopefully everybody has watched, but the one thing is the roses weren't really blooming yet.
I felt like we left him on a cliffhanger, don't you think? You're kind of like, and
Look at these. Hippolyte?
pretty much every rose out in the main field is in flower right now. Oh man. This is the peak moment. So they're still tiny, of course. Stand back, you're like, oh, this doesn't feel like much, but don't do that. You got to get up close and then go smell every single one. I've been out there pretty much every day, collecting flowers, taking notes, just trying to get to know them.
I'm trying to like soak in every drop of beauty I can because these guys are gonna, I mean, you can see the flowers are starting to fade. I feel like we've probably got a week or two.
And then that's it, right? One time?
One time.
One time, that's it.
Yeah. And that's the reason why they've fallen out of favor, because people want that repeat bloom. But man, okay, look at that. If you just drop these over yourself, you're just like, it's just magic. That's kind of fun.
I could see why it would be a bit of a harder sell to get home gardeners to go for these roses, because there is some black spot on them, or the flowers are so beautiful and heavy and large they fall onto the ground. They're not upright like the ones in the cutting garden that are bred for that. So they have all of these unique, you could say they're flaws. To me, they don't seem like flaws at all. Like they're really expressed. They're very expressed.
Oh, isn't that pretty? And like, see how there's a little bits of black spot on the leaves?
Mm-hmm.
That's just part of it.
But that's why they fall out of favor.
Yeah, there's like those, the flaws are that they flower once, that some of them they're more prone to disease. It's not going to hurt the plant. It's not going to hurt anything in your garden, but I think people are more accustomed to perfectly performing plants. You could smell that, you would not care that it had black spot.
They're very unique. They're very different from one another and very different from what we think of nowadays as a standard rose. So yeah, I'm trying to get to know them. Like, hi, I'm Erin. Who are you? The other day I was out there and had the weirdest experience. It almost felt like time stopped. And I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I was cutting flowers because I wanted to make like a shelf time lapse of all the most beautiful varieties. And it is not a smell I've ever smelled before, but it smells familiar. It's like nostalgic without a memory. It was such a haunting feeling, like I kept looping on it, like it just kind of wouldn't leave me. And then when I was making the shelf, then I'm smelling them again. And even today, the petals are starting to fall and it's fading and the whole room smells like perfume. How many things do you ever get to experience that someone 300, 400, 500 years ago got to experience? The smell of these roses is exactly the same. You're like time traveling.
One of my favorite, this is not an old rose, but one of my favorite roses in the cutting garden. This is a variety called Tea Clipper. And look how much it loves our climate. The garden is so beautiful right now. Look at all the roses.
What is the most magical place on the farm right now?
Oh man, the cutting garden is by far the most magical. Everywhere you turn, there's a rose scrambling over an archway, or these towering foxgloves swaying in the breeze, and then a robin lands and talks to you and flies off, and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, how is this real life? Roses really span the whole month, but they start at the beginning of the month and then they'll go all the way through. And then the perennials are going to come on. And probably by the end of the month, the first lilies will be going, and then those will help slide us over into July. So it's almost like if you were watching someone conduct a symphony or an orchestra, it's like, and then the strings go, and then, you know, like the next players in the song come on. It's like one wave after wave of color and fragrance and texture, and then as one finishes, you think, Nothing could be more beautiful than that. And then the next thing happens. I don't even know how to describe how beautiful it is. We're just gonna have to show people.
This is the end of the second chapter. And, if there's anything else you want to say to people about like commenting or giving
Totally.
feedback.
The more feedback we can get, the more changes we can make in real time. And so then the next episode, we can refine it and it'll hopefully get better and more of what you want. So yeah, let us know what you think. We're excited and we're also super open.
Yeah, absolutely. So awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah. All right. On to July.
On to July.